Let me tell you a story. How the Idaho murders case that shocked the world unfolded. Sunday, November 13th, 2022. Kaylee Goncalves, Maddison Mogan, Xana Kernodle, and Ethan Chapin were stabbed to death at their home in Moscow, Idaho, in the early hours of the morning, sometime between 3 a.m. and 4 a.m. Earlier that evening, Mogan and Goncalves were captured on a Twitch livestream close to a food truck while waiting for an order of pasta carbonara. A sorority driving service drove the young women home around 1:56 a.m. Kernodle and her boyfriend Chapin had returned from the Sigma Chi frat house around 11 minutes earlier. Two other female roommates who survived the attack went to bed around 1 a.m. and didn't wake up until the next morning. Goncalves called her ex-boyfriend, Jack Decor, 7 times between 2:26 and 2:44. He was quickly cleared as a suspect. A 911 call was made at 11:58 that morning. At 2 p.m., students were told of the murders by the University of Idaho, staffers urging them to shelter in place. Monday, November 14th, 2022. Moscow mayor said the killings were a crime of passion, only to later backtrack. He said that theory was one of several under consideration. Tuesday, November 15th, 2022. Moscow police called the killings an isolated targeted attack and added that there was no imminent threat to the community at large. But angry locals, as well as the 4 victims' families, slammed what they described as contradictory statements from investigators. Wednesday, November 16th, 2022. Moscow PD Chief James Fry disclosed the fact that 2 roommates at home had survived. He said there were no signs of forced entry, but refused to say who had made the 911 call and why it had been made an estimated 8 hours later. Fry angered locals by backtracking on an earlier claim there was no danger to the wider community. He warned them to please stay vigilant. Thursday, November 17th, 2022. The killings are officially ruled homicides by stabbing by Layton County Coroner Kathy Mabbitt. She said all 4 victims were likely attacked as they slept and that each had multiple stab wounds. Distressingly, some victims were found to have defensive wounds, suggesting they'd woken up while being attacked, but there were no signs of sexual assault. Sunday, November 20th. DailyMail.com exclusively reveals a local dog was skinned and filleted 3 weeks before the killings, sparking fears of a connection. They added that Goncalves' dog was home at the time of the slayings. November 22nd, 2022. Cops admitted Goncalves had been followed around a supermarket around a month before the killings, but said they were unable to verify claims she had a stalker. November 30th, 2022. Kaylee Goncalves' father, Steve, said his daughter and friend Maddie Mogan had been sleeping in the same bed when they were stabbed. Layton County Prosecutor Bill Leda claimed one of the victims was undoubtedly targeted. Hours later, Moscow Police Department contradicted that claim, only to admit that they did consider the crime a targeted one the following day. 6 people are ruled out as suspects. A man seen close to Goncalves and Mogan at the food truck, the driver who took them home, Goncalves' ex-boyfriend, their surviving roommates, and another student who'd moved out of the property several months earlier. December 5th, 2022. Goncalves' dad, Steve, slammed cops' absurd approach to the case, claiming Moscow Police Department had been too quick to clear potential suspects and rule out links to other cases. December 7th, 2022. Cops make their first appeal for a white 2011 to 2013 Hyundai Elantra spotted at the crime scene around the time of the murders. A white Hyundai Elantra is said to have been towed from suspect Brian Koberger's home in Scranton, Pennsylvania on December 30th after he was arrested. December 12th, 2022. Steve Goncalves reveals Kaylee had big open gouges as a result of the deadly attack. He branded cops cowards for not sharing more information and said his daughter's wounds were more severe than Maddie's. December 18, 2022. New footage emerges showing Goncalves and Mogan hours before their killings walking through downtown while discussing a man named Adam. Goncalves' family lawyer later clarified that Adam in question is a bartender. December 27, 2022. More leaked footage shows Goncalves and Mogan inside the Corner Club bar in Moscow shortly before returning home. December 30th, 2022. Cops announce they've made an arrest in connection with the killings in Scranton, Pennsylvania. Suspect is named as University of Washington criminology PhD student Brian Christopher Kohlberger. Kohlberger was nabbed at his home by SWAT teams and arraigned the same morning. At around 3 a.m., local cops and the FBI took him into custody. Authorities were seen at his office on the University of Washington Pullman campus. Photos show officers inside the building at the entrance to room 12, where Kohlberger shared space with two other PhD students. A suitcase and a box full of papers are among the items removed from Kohlberger's home in Pullman, Washington. In Albrightsville, Pennsylvania, access to Kohlberger's family home was blocked Friday by aggressive private security guards who prevented all but residents and law enforcement getting anywhere near the home in a gated community. Kohlberger's family home is in the enclave of Indian Mountain Lake, a private and gated community in the Pocono Mountains. It consists of approximately 4,600 acres, with 3,262 single-family residential building lots, many available as luxury vacation rentals for tourists drawn to the nearby ski resorts. Amenities include a clubhouse, 5 lakes, the largest 2 being 53 acres and 30 acres, 2 outdoor swimming pools and a kiddie pool, 4 tennis courts, and 2 basketball courts. It was here that Kohlberger was arrested. Kohlberger has been charged with 4 counts of first-degree murder and 1 of felony burglary. He is due to be back in court in Pennsylvania on Tuesday this week. Kohlberger's arrest is the culmination of an investigation that has dragged on for more than a month and left the Moscow Police Department facing a barrage of criticism. Sources say that authorities knew who they were looking for and hunted the suspect down to Pennsylvania in the Poconos Mountains, more than 2,400 miles from Idaho. Law enforcement sources told CNN that Kohlberger's DNA was discovered at the scene of the crime, with officers managing to track down who owned the white Hyundai Elantra seen in the area of the scene. Authorities then discovered that he had left the area and traveled to Pennsylvania, where an FBI surveillance team had been tracking the 6-foot-tall man. He was kept under surveillance, with the FBI watching him for 4 days, while investigators from Moscow Police and Idaho State Police worked to get an arrest warrant. Friday's sensational arrest is the first major break in the case. Kohlberger has no prior arrest, according to public records, so it was unclear to Daily Mail how officials got a hold of his DNA. We now know that they were able to track him down through familial DNA.
What is a familial DNA search, you ask? Well, a familial DNA search is where law enforcement agencies search DNA databases for genetic information indicating a relative of a person that they're actually looking to identify. So basically, when a search for an exact match to a DNA sample does not produce any results, then a familial DNA search could very well produce results of a partial match indicating a child, a parent, other sibling, or another blood relative.
Familial DNA testing can only be used once prosecution has proven that all other reasonable methods of investigation has produced no results. Or if this is an emergency situation, for example, the serial killer is likely to strike again very soon, or they believe the suspect is going to make a run for it.
He now awaits extradition back to Idaho. That's the whole story, friend. From beginning to, well, where we are now. Because I don't believe it's the end.